Hello, and welcome to another special Franchise Hockey Manager 4 stream. My name is Adam. I'm the QD Manager. With me, as always, and pictured on your screen is FHM Producer Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
And we are back with our 1981-82 franchise. And Jeff, we've jumped forward into December of 1981. What happened?
Yeah, we were just at the draft last time we played the game, last one where we finished up a couple of weeks ago. So not a whole lot to do in the off season because we didn't have any. It's the 80s and there's no real free agency, and didn't really have any reason to make some major roster changes because we were in pretty good shape last year. So I played forward and wound up getting a little carried away and wound up going all the way to the start of December. So I need to get you caught up on what's been happening around the league and with the team. The start of the season preview said the Islanders, the Leafs, and the Bruins were supposed to be the big contenders. We're doing fine. The Islanders are doing great. Bruins, not so much. Kind of stumbled and 10, 12, and 2 right now at this point, so I don't know what's gone wrong there. Well, actually, I have some idea. Some of them, the big problem is their goalies, Gilles Gilbert and Wayne Thomas, a couple of 70s retreads that they really haven't improved. The rest of the lineup isn't in bad shape. It's pretty much even with the real Bruins from the time Al Secord they hung on to instead of letting him go to Chicago. But they're I think the goaltending is what's dragging him down. You can see 95 goals against, almost 4.0 goals against average. So that's a problem. And they'd probably be even worse if it wasn't for the Nordiques, who are 122 and 5. Pretty sad. Yeah, and this is, I should point out that we're back. It's 81-82, so we're to what was then the new divisional alignment. We are in with Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, the Jets, and the North Stars. Funny thing is, and this is, I'm trying to remember, I think this is... Yeah, at this point it goes back to the top 4 teams in each division making the playoffs. Part of the problem is, though, we've been sort of indifferent against teams that are, the rest of the division is pretty weak. We actually lost our season opener against the Jets. We've been doing fine against the good teams, but then dropping games against the weaker ones, like obviously the Jets, who wound up firing their coach not too long ago, despite beating us in the opener. And so, hopefully we get out of the first couple of rounds, because if we manage to do that, fortunately the Islanders are on the other side of the league in the Wales Conference. They're in the Campbell, we're in the Wales. The old, let me make sure I got that right. It's been a while. Yep, we are in the Campbell, they're in the Wales, which is the opposite of what I said. But you can see where I miss the old conference names.
Sorry, go ahead.
What were you going to say?
No. Nope, I'm fine.
Okay, couple of roster changes. The biggest one, we didn't make a lot of, really overhaul the lineup because we've got a lot of young guys that are still improving. Decent veteran depth. The major ones, though, we wound up getting Doug Sotart. I think it was the Rangers sent him down and waived him at the beginning of the year. So he's 2 stars. Our goalie, Michel Dion, who'd been the backup, had dropped down to 1.5 stars during training camp. So I grabbed Sotart, who was the Jets starter for about half of this year, if I remember right. And he's actually almost as good as Palmateer. They're both at 2 stars. Palmateer's having a much better season. And that led to a few other changes. I was able to move Marco Barron, who'd been our 3rd string goalie and got pushed down to 4th. Swapped him and Ian Turnbull, who was he had 45 points for us last year, but it declined pretty badly, and I couldn't really find a spot for him during the preseason. So what we wound up getting, I did a couple of 1-for-1 trades, and we wound up moving out Barron and Turnbull, and we've now got Gilles Lupien, whose big claim to fame was that he was the tallest player in NHL history for a while. He was 6'6", And Paul Gardner, who was actually traded to the Leafs, I can't remember if it was the start of this year or later in the year in real life, or might have even been before this, just before the end of last season. But he was a Leaf for real. He's pretty one-dimensional. Big offensive talent. Not much in the way of D, but if we run into scoring trouble or just have some depth issues later on, he'll be somebody I can drop into the power play spot or third or fourth line and get a little extra scoring out of him that way. And the other spare forward who was in New Brunswick all last year is Mark Curtin. So I think that pretty much summarizes the changes. I've got one, Dave Farish, who had moved into Turnbull's spot, was seriously injured. He's out for another 4 months or so. So Lupien wound up going into the lineup, and I didn't realize how thin our D was. So I wound up bringing up Alain Vigneault from New Brunswick. So AV probably gets his first NHL game at some point in here. But I've actually got Joel Quenneville and Alain Vigneault as on the same defensive unit.
Okay.
The big worry going into the season was we picked up Bobby Orr late at the trading deadline last year in what turned out to be futile hopes of getting a little bit of a playoff push, and we were wondering if he was going to fall apart this season because he had retired in real life by this point and his knees were trashed. But lo and behold, he's our leading scorer, and he's actually, I think, 6th in the league the last I checked. So
now, wasn't he 2 stars? Did you bump him up? I think you bumped him up, didn't you? Yeah.
2.5 stars? No, he's declined a little bit. He was 3 stars when we got him.
Yeah, I thought he was 2 stars when we got him.
Nope, 3.
We're going to have to go back and watch the video on our archive. Check it out.
Definitely no worse than 2.5, because I know I didn't edit him, and he wouldn't do it at this point. He isn't going to improve.
Sure.
Now, see, I'm not you. And just to look at the minor leagues, and everybody admire the lovely minor league logos that Adam's been working on for the last little while, since the actual Cincinnati Tigers logo from this year.
Which Jeff argued about with me.
I swear, I can't remember seeing this particular logo, and I remember what the minor league logos looked like in the 80s, and don't remember this one. But you can see the minor leagues, we've got assorted draft picks. Dan Maloney, who'd been with us, a regular for us, got kind of lost in the numbers game and pushed down to the minors, didn't get picked up on waivers. Ray Allison has been stuck down there for a couple of years and has kind of plateaued at 1.5 stars. Not really a ton of potential. Michel Dion, our backup, who's declined, and Mike Vernon, our top draft pick, who's only gotten to a couple of games this year. So we don't have fantastic depth in the minors. If we get into injury trouble, we're going to have a problem.
Ratcast asked a question in the chat, so I guess we should all say, and hello to Gudu as well. He says, if you rest Orr, would that help prolong his career?
Only in the sense that he'd be slightly less likely to get injured because he's not playing as many games or as many minutes. But I mean, at this point, he's 33, he's Bobby Orr, he's living on borrowed time, so I'm going to squeeze everything I can get out of him.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing on the FHM development engine, the statistic reset.
And we are in this game, just to be clear. Yeah.
He also might not get injured as much if you're playing with him, too. Maybe his knees hold out a little longer.
And that reminds me, I just saw Reggie Leach had a 12-game point streak. He's actually in Buffalo now. The Flyers really gutted their lineup in the offseason. Well, not gutted, but made a bunch of big trades. Rick McLeish was gone. Reggie Leach was gone, and they brought in guys. I think one of the guys, the big two were Doug Shedden and which one? I don't even see who the other one was. They had one other. Oh, Jerry Korab was one guy. Another guy they got in. Could have sworn though there was a center that they had, unless they've moved him along somewhere else. Oh, Glenn Anderson. Not a center. Glenn Anderson was the other guy. So they traded out a bunch of their 70s guys for younger players. So they'll probably be strong going into the later part of the 80s. But right now they started a little bit rough. 4th place in the Patrick and just barely clinging to a playoff spot. So that's kind of taken one more team out of the potential list of people who can beat us, although I don't think anybody's getting by the Islanders again. So, quickly check this just to see if my lineup is what I want. Yeah. And Sotart and Palmetier have more or less been splitting time this year. Just gonna say, I'm basically gonna wait and see once we get into the playoffs. Whoever's one starter job at that point is who I'll go with. Oh, that's funny, Ratcast. Reggie Leach just actually, because Dave Gardner and Red Leach started with the Seals, and I guess Dave Gardner would have been. I remember with Cleveland. I guess he was with. I guess he would have been with the Seals for a season or two at the same time as Leach. Dave Gardner, son of, we're playing as the Leafs, Leaf Cal Gardner, who was one of the better Leafs in the 40s. And another weird coincidence. Paul Gardner, the guy I just mentioned we picked up, is Dave Gardner's brother. And there we go. We revenge our season opener loss to the Leafs, or to the Jets, with a 4-2 win. And the fun thing about playing in the 80s, you see all these, you get a lot more news about scoring streaks. Bossy's up to 14-15 games now. Uh-oh. Well, we shouldn't have talked about this, because I just got the warning that Bobby Orr is injured. It's the red one. What is it going to say? It's an elbow contusion. He's only out for a week or two.
That's not bad.
That's kind of a scare, but I'm just going to shuffle Kevin Lowe into his spot temporarily. And Alain Vigneault will, in fact, get his first NHL game against the Capitals. And it's a 5-4 win for us. How'd Davey do? 40 game rating, 36 defensively, -2.
Oof.
Basically a complete train wreck. I'll give him another game. If he does that again, he's going back to the minors. Oh, and it's Montreal, who's a little weaker this year, actually. They were the other powerhouse in the league after the Islanders. And we beat them 4-1, so maybe the Habs are finally starting to decline. How did Vigneault do? Oh, 60 game rating. Okay, so bounce back after that game.
Although, really, he couldn't do much worse, let's be honest.
How's Leach looking these days, Radcast? I haven't seen a picture of him in a long time. He must be in his, 60s, 70s by now?
Yeah, you still see him in Manitoba popping up every once in a while.
Oh, yeah? That's good to know. And we win again, this time against the Canucks. I'm actually going to run this through the, week to week until we get Orr back at least. That's funny. One same day big nights for Gretzky, Anderson, and Curry, and they're all on different teams now. Well, except for Gretzky, he's actually still on the Oilers. And Orr is almost back. Run it to after Christmas, and we should get him back. And Mark Hardy, who is on the Whalers, out for 6 months, ruptured tricep tendon.
Oof.
And as soon as Orr gets back, Joel Quenneville goes out, so Vigneault will stay in the lineup, although Quenneville's only got a minor injury. Just using the replace feature to shuffle the right defenseman around, and Vigneault in for, or do I want to swap any forwards? Not right now. Got really nice forward depth on the main team, just nothing after that on the minors. I mean, you got a couple of 1.5 star guys, but nobody you'd really want to depend on. Wow, 10-1 win over the Blues. Another 4 assists for Bobby Orr. And Michel Goulet's up to a 5-game goal streak now for us. And we got the player pool, so let's see if any Leafs got mentioned. Absolutely none. One interesting thing I noticed, Andy Moog, who was just, I think just had his first, he had a big playoff year in '81 in real life from what I remember, but then kind of slipped back after that, and eventually the Oilers wound up drafting Grant Fuhr this year and splitting time with Moog. But in this game, somehow his development has gone, oh God, Orr got injured again.
Huh. As Piwa comes
sore back, 1 to 2 weeks.
Just reminds us, go Wings, he says.
And I'm guessing as the Wings traditionally do in these games, they're probably... Actually, I don't think they were doing that badly the last time I looked. 13-21-4. This is the pathetic early 80s Wings. So, although they do have Ray Bourque in this game. That's the one big thing. But, wow, that's a pretty ugly group of forwards right there. Your big guns are Aaron Broughton and Ilka Sinisalo. You're in trouble. And a development report. Yeah, Orr is declining. Boris Salming 2, and now Sittler. That's not great news. We've got a couple of key guys headed downhill. Younger guys still coming along. Keep seeing Risto Yellow getting improvements across a bunch of categories, but he still stays stuck at half a star. Must have been pretty bad to begin with. And we are into 1982. Owner's still happy with us. That's good. And I'm just going to go through the whole rush of the whole month because we're going to get into the interesting part of the season with the trading deadline coming up. And hopefully we don't get any other... Literally, as I say it, didn't even get to finish the sentence, don't get any other injuries. Joel Quenneville gets hurt. Strained ribcage muscle, 2 to 3 weeks. Orr is only day-to-day at this point, but I'm going to have to bring up somebody from Cincinnati to fill in that spot. And oh man, we've only got one-star defenseman left. So Stuart Smith, real-life Hartford Whaler for about a season and a half. Okay, he's going to have to go in for Quenneville, at least until Orr gets back, so I'll have to go day-to-day for a couple of days. Oh, Orr's almost ready for full contact, so probably not too far away. Smith needs a number. Isn't happy with what I gave him, too bad. Try to see if I can get Palmatier heated up a little bit. Should be an easy game against Colorado.
I've heard you say that multiple times, and that's usually when we get destroyed.
Well, we didn't get destroyed, but we lost 2-1.
It'll be an easy game.
That's right. Colorado got Billy Smith in this game after the Islanders cleared their goaltending out. Although the Islanders have Pelle Lindbergh in goal now. Orr is almost back. Not quite there yet. Do we get him back in time for Chicago? Not quite. Oh, Quenneville's skating now. See if Palmatier can bounce back against the Sabres. That last one wasn't really his fault. And we get a 4-1 win.
Excellent.
And Goulet is up to a 13-game point streak now, and Bobby Orr is back, so Bohr goes in for low. Smith was, I think Smith was in the second. Yeah, Smith is goes out for low, and see, Smith played a couple of games. Well, Vigneault hasn't been doing too badly. He's +9 in 17 games, 5 points. So I think I'm going to leave him in the lineup and send Stuart Smith back down to Cincinnati. And I'm also going to try Paul Gardner in for Pat Boutet just for a couple of games to see how that works out. And a 6-2 win over the Oilers, who actually started really strong in this season, but Messier got a long-term injury, so they're without him right now. And I just saw a little oddity in the roles I don't like, switching Poulin and Williams around a little better. Goulet up to 14 games on the point streak. And another win for us. We must be 33-7-6-2. We'd be first in the league if it wasn't for the Islanders' crazy record.
Well, the Islanders, that's what they were in the 1980s, destroying everybody.
Yeah, but they're even tougher in this one because they picked up a couple extra guys. They wound up with Dino Ciccarelli and Jorgen Pedersen, and I think there's an extra D in there too that they didn't have. Dave Fair is still 2 or 3 months back. Yeah, 39-3-1. Ridiculous. I mean, this is what the Islanders are looking at. Oh, actually, it looks like Murray Bannerman, who they picked up in the offseason, has pushed Lindbergh out of the #1 job, and he's up to 2.5 stars. But yeah, Potvin, Brian Engblom is the guy they picked up. So it's another solid defenseman. Pedersen, a good 70-point guy who's actually on they've got him on the trading block right now. They're so deep. Steve Bozek, too. Oh, geez, Pat Price they held on to. I guess they didn't lose him in the expansion draft. Tambellini coming up. Mike Bullard. So we established last time, the hockey player, not the quote-unquote comedian. And the only, well, at least Bob Nystrom has started to head downhill from him, for him for a little bit. Looks like it's been going on for a couple of years now, but the rest of them are still in pretty good shape. I think we kind of need to pray for some injuries for them in the playoffs. Otherwise, they're going to roll right through everybody again, including us. Get to the end of this month. Oh, no. Orr is injured again.
This is clearly all Ratcast. I mean...
Oh, come on. He's got a minor facial cut. He cut himself shaving or something. Give me a break. It's Bobby Orr. He's going to play through it.
Apparently not.
He's just going to be out for one game, so I'm just going to swap. Give Smith a bunch of playing time. Salmon can cover for him. And kind of a wild one against Boston, 7-5 win. Oh, come on, Orr's not back yet. We're still rolling right along even without him, 7-1 over the Blues. Okay, he's almost ready. Oh no, Salming hurt his ankle, but at least he can still play.
Well, ankle's much easier than getting, facial cut.
Yeah, what is it with our D and injuries this season? Although we're still winning, even with all these guys getting banged up. And Alain Vigneault actually had the 3rd star in that game. I just noticed as I was closing it. Oh, man. Come on, we got to get some of these guys back soon.
At some point, probably. Right now, unlikely.
"13-4 over the Jets." 7-point game for Michel Goulet. Not a great result for Winnipeg. But naturally, we had another defenseman injury, Norman Rochefort this time. And Rochefort's thumb contusion, so... yeah, some of these guys you think we could play through some of this stuff. Gwenville's almost ready to come back. Beetlejuice 350 in chat. Isn't this the season the Flyers started wearing the Cooperalls with the long pants? Yeah, it was them and the... I think it was them this year, and then Hartford the year after started with them. I actually got a picture of myself somewhere wearing Cooperalls. Those things were great. You didn't have to mess with the sky and the socks at all.
That sounds like, I'm just going to throw this out there, as a perfect pre-order a certain game and get that picture.
You can't even really tell I'm wearing them, though, because it's like...
well, we can fix that.
Yeah.
We can find
draw
something.
it in.
That'd be good.
Okay, Salming is minor injury. Rochefort is out. Oh, man, whatever. Rochefort has to... This is a complete mess on my D right now. I don't even want to look at what I've... And Quebec finally beats us 4-3, just because the D is a total train wreck by this point. Problem with the Cooperalls, though, apparently was, it didn't really affect me because I wasn't going that fast. But at the NHL level, if you hit the ice and were sliding, there wouldn't be the amount of friction you get from the socks. So it was really hard to control yourself and keep yourself from, say, crashing into the boards or something. And that's the official reason why they gave him up. I don't know if that's all of it, but... Okay, let's try and repair this D. Now we got a couple of guys back. Salming Nor in the first pair. Vigneault goes out for low. That should leave Lupien and Smith on the final pair. And I want Vigneault for Smith. And ideally, in another 2 or 3 days, we should have a relatively injury-free D until the next inevitable injury happens. Which... Okay, 4-1 win over Chicago. Did we actually get through this without anybody hurting themselves?
Probably not.
Michel Goulet, named Player of the Month. Well, our guys. Nobody hurt, but no improvement in the injury situation. A couple of these guys could start recovering soon. And we're into February. Bobby Orr is almost at 100%. Ward thinks the season is a great success. No worries there. Okay, so Orr is healthy. Rochefort is probably good enough to go in. What's his... Yeah, fitness is at 94. Oh, that's Salming. That's at 94. So we can finally get back to our regular defensive setup. And Smith can go back down to Cincinnati. Really had no intention of using Vigneault this much this season, but now he's back at least to the 7th defense. I don't know how has Gardner been doing. Oh, he's actually put up a few points. Oh, he did lose that. I'm going to Put Boutet back in for Gardner. Don't think there's anything else I need to do. Any interesting news? Doesn't look like it. Trying to get Palmateer to heat up a little bit.
Some people are really getting on this idea.
On what?
You know, this idea of a signed photo, Jeff, for a pre-order bonus.
I'll see if I can dig it up. I may just show it on here one night. I could actually. I think I've had when I found that one. I think I had the whole my whole collection, or at least most of them, of hockey pictures for about 6 or 7 years. So we can do the season-by-season retrospective of the late 70s, early 80s Kelowna minor hockey. Actually, no, Rutland minor hockey for most of it.
But you don't give them all right in 1 year. That's a multi-year marketing plan, I think, right there.
So the Cooperall one is probably the least embarrassing. I look pretty good in that one. We were sponsored by the Kelowna Wings, the old Kelowna Wings of the WHL had a booster club that sponsored a house league, must have been Bantam then team. So we had reasonably decent looking jerseys, and the Cooperalls kind of went with them, so I think I looked pretty good that year. And we lose 5-3 to the Oilers.
So there's worse ones, okay.
Oh yeah. You have not seen my hair from the late 70s. 9-year-old kid who's the top third or so of my height is the afro. And we got a month to go until trading deadline.
You're like 4'5" and 2 feet of hair. How close am I?
No, I was always tall for my height. I've been 6 feet tall since I was about 13.
Okay.
So it was like 6'3" with the fro, yeah. Okay, looking at the standings, we've got a massive gap between us and the next best team in the North, so I don't think we have to worry too much about not getting out of the division. Actually, the next best team is the Jets, who we beat 13-4.
You say that.
And the whole conference.
Remember what you said? Oh, it'll be fine.
I'm sorry. Is this the guy who's saying this to me? Is this the guy that managed to lose in the first round in the other game?
Yeah.
How'd that go again?
Curse me again.
Oh yeah, it's somehow my fault. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure you programmed the game against me.
I'm gonna swap Curtin down to Cincinnati since he's not playing at all, and probably is hurting him. And I can just leave Boudreau up, or not Boudreau, leave Gardner up. Messier resigns with Edmonton. I don't think we have any contract issues coming. Oh, we got Goulet. I want to make sure he's happy by renewing his contract before the end of the year. Only wants 2 years. Canucks again against a red-hot Glenn Hanlon, and we kill him 9-4. And Bobby Orr's up to a 12-game point streak after coming back from the injury. Sorry, you cut out there? What was that?
I said it's only the Canucks, so...
Yeah, I'm going to sim this ahead to the... I'm going to ignore the anti-Canuck comment and sim ahead to the end of February, and we'll make a decision here as to what we want to do trade-wise for the rest of the season. So let's first take a look. First check, did we get anybody injured? Nope, no injuries at all. Perfectly healthy. And Dave Ferrish is actually only about 2 or 3 weeks away from coming back, so that'll help our defensive depth a little. Won't need to play Vigneault anymore. Still way out in front. Oh, the Islanders lost another game. They're up to 4 for the season. So it's basically us and them. Montreal isn't doing too badly.
Put it on the chat. Beetlejuice says this is the final season of the Rocky.
Yep.
Before they become
Doing slightly better, I think, in the game than real life, but only slightly. Still dead last in the Smythe. Now, okay, goaltending. Sotard has been playing reasonably well for us this year. Let me just see the pop-ups. Oh, actually, Palmetier has nice numbers. Sotard's been playing more often, though, and they're actually both in pretty good shape. I'll take a look through and see if I can find a goalie upgrade if somebody's sitting on like a 3-star as a backup, but I doubt it.
Lamer. Larmer. Not Lamer. My bad.
Just went to this, having a look at the season stats so far, and Goulet's already over 100 points with 15 left to go. Bobby Smith having a nice year. Larmer, 4th in scoring. Great year for him. I think he only played, this was actually his pre-rookie year in the real NHL. He didn't start playing till 82, 83 regularly. I think he had about 4 games this season. Salming productive as always. Keith Crowder having a nice year, or, drop back after that, after being one of the top, the top 10 scoring in the league. Wow, look at all that scoring depth. We've got guys in the 40s all the way down to like 12, 13 deep, so nice distribution. Nobody here really isn't scoring. Even Paul Gardner, when I threw him in, he's got 20 points, 27 games. Joey Mullen is the only disappointing guy, but he's barely playing. And Lupien not doing too badly for a trade throw-in. Okay, so priorities. Goaltending upgrade would be number 1. Oh wow, I didn't realize how much our D has declined. Salming's dropped down to 3 stars. Orr's at 1.5. He lost a whole star. Gwenville is actually up to 2. Oh boy. I think we may need to move it forward for defenseman. Ideally, like another quality defenseman and goalie, but I don't know if we can afford to give up that many forwards. Check the trading block first. Only half decent player is Eric Vale, who's already started to slip. He's only down to 1.5 stars, so that ain't gonna work. I have to do it the hard way. Just gonna start at the top of the league with the Bruins and quickly scan through and look for, okay, Buffalo's still got Glenn Resch and Don Edwards in goal. Oh, Calgary's got 2 3-stars. This might be a little better than I thought. Oh, now we're starting to get into the bad ones. Ken Dryden still hanging on in LA. Goaltending situation around the league is pretty sad. Pittsburgh is good, but they're a pretty bad team. Let's see, Quebec, they've got Richard Brodeur at 3 stars, and they're not really going anywhere, so maybe they'd be willing to move him. There's us. Hanlon and Walmsley in Vancouver. And that's the end of it. So I think Calgary's the logical target here. Although, I remember we picked up Dan Bouchard in another game. Let me just see. Who are they starting? Looks like Resch is doing most of their starting. I might be able to get Don Edwards out of Buffalo. He was kind of past his prime, even though he was 26 at this point in real life. I think this was one of his last decent seasons. He wound up in Calgary, I think a year or 2 after this, and went downhill. Okay,
I don't know. So.
See if I can figure out an offer for Edwards. We're presumably going to have to give up a goalie. I'll try Sotart. And the problem is I don't have any real depth to offer them. I've already given up my 3rd rounder this year. I think that was in a trade a couple of years ago. I'll try the third rounder from next year. So they might be willing to do Sotart and a third rounder for Edwards. They say our GM says, our assistant says that's well balanced, so maybe. And have I got somebody I could throw in? Maybe a one-star potential guy? I'll try Bob Gladney just for the heck of it. Oh, I can't take it on the extra players, so remove Gladney. And we should get an offer back. Oh, we got the Islanders today. And they get a 4-2 win over us, so better than the first time we played them and lost 7-2. And naturally, Orr got injured yet again. That's what, 4 or 5 injuries this year for him this year? Day to day
since it was brought up.
Day to day with a hip flexor strain. Well, no, see, I mean, this time though, I was bringing up in the context that we were probably going to see injuries from him at some point. So I don't think that technically counts as a jinx.
So reverse double jinx.
Alain Vigneault gets back in for what's hopefully only a game or two. Oh, Wayne Gretzky out for 3 months in Edmonton. Not good. Torn ribcage muscle. Ouch. And the Sabres shot us down on the trade proposal. Back to the drawing board on that, I guess. So we're going to have to... Let's see if I give them... Throwing Dan Maloney is only in the minors for us, and just... They need to balance their roster at 50 players, so... I've got to take somebody... Former WHA goon Frank Beaton. He's on the trading block anyhow, so he should have pretty much no value to them.
I was going to say, that's the big thing, right? Looking for someone on the trading block.
And we lose 3-1 to Ken Dryden in LA. And we're back against the Islanders again. How close is the trading deadline? 3 days. So hopefully the Sabres get back to us before then. We're going to have to play the Islanders without Orr. Sotart can go in for what might be one of his last games as a Leaf, and we get blown out 7-2. So, I mean, if the Islanders weren't in this game, we would probably have a cup by now. Well, maybe not, but we used to have a better chance. We got Montreal the next night, and no, they beat us too, so might be the first time this year we've lost 2 games in a row. And the Wings fired their coach.
Who did, sorry?
The Wings. Okay, Orr is almost back. Oh, we got 2 days before the trading deadline. It's the 9th. I thought it was the 7th. Couple of veterans swapping teams. Yvonne Lambert to the Rangers for Vadnais. Okay, and I either missed or we didn't get an offer. Oh, I did. I think I did miss it. Sabres didn't want to do that deal, so still looking for. So on the trading deadline, I'm still looking for a defenseman, and
Goody says simple solution: just delete the Islanders.
Yeah.
Or just go release all their players. There's an idea.
Okay, since it's 82, see the Canucks went to the final with Brodeur in goal. I'm going to see if the Nordiques will actually take something for Brodeur. Trying Sotart again. Gonna bump it up to a second rounder in 83.
You're trying to get back a guy from a former series. I think we had him back in FHM 2.
Yeah, that was quite a while back, if I remember right. Okay, they don't want to do that. What if I... Ferris is almost back, so what if I offer them Lupia and give them the French guy? Now I got 50 players under contract too. Find a throw-in, worst possible. Tommy Abrahamson. I still want a little more. How about a really late round pick this year? I guess. Well, not really late. A 6th rounder. Okay, there we go. We got Richard Brodeur. Cost us a little bit, but we've finally got our 3-star goalie going into the playoffs.
That's all you want.
Yeah, and
so that's all you wanted, a Vancouver Canuck.
Oh, he's a Quebec Nordique in this game.
Real life Canuck, I believe.
I think I'm going to leave the D as it is, just on the theory that those ratings are kind of hopefully exaggerating the decline. And advance to the next day. No other big trades, looks like. And Brodeur can have 35, that's not a problem. No ore back yet. And Palmetier wins against Chicago. I guess he didn't put... oh, great. Now Sittler's hurt. Daryl Sittler out 1 to 2 weeks. Fortunately, we got Gardner, who can play center too, and should do just fine in Sittler's spot. Should be actually pick up a few points too. And Brodeur will get his first start against the Jets, who he beats 5 to 3, and actually heats up a little bit too, so that's good news. Orr is almost healthy again. I'm just, once we get him back, I'll probably sim forward a little bit. Come on. Gudu and Chad, have the Canadians ever had a policy of only dressing French-Canadian players? Some of the fans would like that, I'm sure, but no.
Have they ever? Yeah, they have.
No, there's never been a time where they've been 100% French-Canadian.
Oh, really?
Name a year.
Sounds like a challenge. I'm sure if we go back far enough, we can find that they were all French-Canadian.
Nope. Because in the early years, there was the management was mainly English, so there was pretty much always an English-speaking guy on there.
All right. We'll say this though: the one thing Montreal fans would still love is they had the rights to everybody in Quebec and like the eastern provinces.
Sort of. That's exaggerated.
Not really. They had most of them. I mean, they even get
okay, Gardner is
Jean Beliveau. They bought out a league to force him to play.
Yeah, but I mean that kind of proves the point though that they actually had to buy out the whole league to get the rights to Beliveau because they wouldn't have had them otherwise.
Well, no, Beliveau didn't want to sign, and with the contract he signed, only if he turned professional, he'd have to play with Montreal.
And 7-0 win against the Hawks, and we should almost have Orr back for the 34th time this season, approximately. Come on, you still not ready? I don't want to rush him back because We put him in semi-injured. You know he's just going to hurt himself again. Well, he theoretically could play, but I'm not doing that. There we go. He's back now. Oh, and Dave Farish is almost back too, so that should shore up our D a little bit. Wondering if we might actually even get another extra season out of Orr. And Quinville. Wait, no, what did I do there? Oh, Vigno out and Quinville in. And we got the wings. Wow, 1-1 tie. Big game for Ron Lowe for the Red Wings. And the Hawks fire their coach. And we got a looks like back-to-back against the Wings. Do we do better in game 2? Nope. Tied them again, 4-4. See, this is another one of those teams in our conference that's doing disturbingly well against us, despite being below average the rest of the time. Come on, Farish, get back so I can sim forward to the playoffs. Another win for us. We're up to 111 points for the year. Kind of scared to look at the development report. That's not too bad. Salming declining again, but it's only his fighting rating. That's not too bad. And improvement from a bunch of young guys that don't really matter because they're not going to get that much better. Farish still out day to day. And actually, as soon as we got Brodeur, Palmatier started to heat up.
Oh, it's going to happen at some point.
Would have been nice if he had done that before I'd actually made a trade to push him out, though. Oh, and the Flyers beat us 6-4 with Brodeur in goal. Yeah. I think that's the end of the year. And Farish shows up just as the season ends. So he is off the injury list. He's at 1.5 stars, so I can't really see him pushing out anybody at this point. I'll send Vigno down to Cincinnati for the playoffs. Yeah, there's... See, I thought that was going to help our D, but it's just basically insurance. Yeah, we're all at 80 games, so I think we'll be getting Minnesota in the first round. Oh, awards nominees. Are we... Nope, no Coach of the Year for us this year.
Of course not. Beetlejuice 350 says, I read a story yesterday about potential NHL expansion in Seattle. They said early October is when the executive committee will meet with prospective ownership group. Do you think Seattle will get a team?
I sure hope so.
They are by far the most likely spot to ahead of anybody else.
Yeah. Looks like Salmon is the only one of our players who got an award nomination. But yeah, I mean, it'll be nice for Canucks fans to be able to go to an NHL game without breaking the bank. So regardless of how expensive they are in Seattle, they're not going to be Vancouver prices. These Canucks are in here for an exhibition game in a few weeks against Arizona, and only tickets left are like $80.
I definitely think it's there unless the arena falls flat.
Yeah. Oh, we got St. Louis in the first round. Is that right? That doesn't look right to me. Division standings. Was there a... No, we shouldn't have got St. Louis, or something's off in the playoffs. I'll have to check that. Oh, wait, am I schedule saying Minnesota? I'm an idiot. I was looking at the Jets. We do have the right team. Minnesota first round. We got only a couple minutes to play us, so I think I will leave the playoffs for next time. Actually, we'll get a quick preview of what we're headed for. So they've got Doug Gilmore. Picked him up in the draft this year. He's only 18. A little ahead of schedule. Denny Savard. Wow, this is completely different from the actual North Star teams of the early 80s. Oh, they still got Jill Meloche in goal. Doesn't look too impressive. Denny Savard is really the only guy we need to worry about.
Who is a worry?
That lovely lime green, early 80s North Stars. And how'd we do for player points at the end of the season? Goulet with 123 points. Remember, this is the early 80s, so 100-point seasons aren't that big a deal. So the whole first line broke 100 points. Steve Larmer also with 87. Salming made it into the 80s this year. Orr finishes with 64 points in 51 games, so can't really ask for much more than that.
Well, if he didn't get hurt, he probably would have had 100 points.
So we've got 50 points. Our 3, 6, 9, 11th highest scorer had 50 points.
So yes, I did say 800 points. I think he would have averaged over 8 points a game if he was healthy.
Sure.
Could have happened.
And take a quick look at the league stats leaders. I'm guessing this is because Gretzky got hurt. Bossy winds up winning the scoring title. 90 goals, 186 points. This would have been Gretzky's first 200-point year if he didn't get hurt. Well, we got 3 guys in the top 10 in scoring.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
And anything else? Oh, wow, Pat Price of the Islanders finished plus 109. I think that's an all-time record. And just looking around the league at the other divisions, the Bruins were supposed to be a preseason top 3 favorite, barely made it in. They're probably going to get blown up by Montreal in the first round. Islanders with 146 points, 72, 6, and 2. Yeah. The Jets in second place in the Norris. Canucks in third in the Smythe. Smythe actually looking fairly close to what really happened this year. Let's have a look at the Islanders' individual scoring stats and just see how crazy this is. 5 guys over 100 points. The whole first line, plus Cicerelli, got 135 points off the second line. 2 defensemen above 90 points. Yeah, it's just like this all the way down. Ridiculously overloaded team. I really hope some of those guys start to decline soon. 478 good for the Islanders. I didn't see that. Yeah. So almost 6 goals against average for the Islanders and below 2 against. They're pretty much unbeatable. I think we're number 2 in the league for scoring, weren't we? Yeah, 379. And dead last is Pittsburgh, despite actually having one of the better goalies. And the last season for the Colorado Rockies, they'll meet New Jersey next year. 17th overall, out of the playoffs. We'll have a quick look at the Jets just to... Alright, the Jets got wound up with Paul Coffey in this game. They still had Kent Nielsen. This is actually a much better Jets team than there was real NHL. Walt Podubny. That's not looking too bad. They got Mike Krushelnyski too. Bunch of them, like the Krushelnyski, Lumley, Lindstrom, Podubny, Coffey. At least 5 guys who would have been Oilers in the 80s. So who knows? You might actually see something from the Jets in this game eventually. Maybe.
Maybe. That's always the key.
Okay, but I think we're going to have to wrap it up from here, Adam, if you want to sign out.
Yeah. Just before we go, I should mention right now, there
Yeah.
will be no stream next week.
Yeah.
So we'll be taking the week off. We're kind of busy with a variety of things. So
Yep, Adam's got some stuff going on, and I could really use the extra day for development right now, or extra evening.
yeah.
We're getting into crunch time for FHM 5.
Yeah. Which we'll be able to start talking about in the not too distant future.
Yep.
So thank you very much for tuning in to another Franchise Hockey Manager 4 stream. We typically stream every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Franchise Hockey Manager. On Twitter, we're at Franchise Hockey. You can also reach out to us on our official website, which is ootpdevelopments.com. Click on the community button in the top right-hand corner, and that'll bring you to our official forums, where they're starting to get a little bit busy as people get a little bit anxious for something. And you can talk to us about Franchise Hockey Manager, Out of the Park Baseball, MLB Manager, or anything else you want. Jeff, did I miss anything?
Nope, just closing it out by looking at your beautiful Cincinnati Tigers logo with our minor league scoring.
Which you can find on our forums
Yep.
in the Franchise Hockey Manager mod section.
I think we will see everybody back in a couple of weeks. We'll be with the Florida Panthers game, where hopefully we can do something, and because we're getting kind of near the end for that run. That's been going on for, a good 10, 11 months now.
Yep.
And then we will be back with this in a couple of weeks, and we can see what happens in these playoffs. So thanks for coming out, and we will see you all back in a couple of weeks from now.